guys, it's Trina and it is the end of September, so it is time to do my reading wrap up for the month. And you guys may have noticed that I have not been posting very many videos lately. September was not a good month for me in my personal life. Just everything that could go wrong seems to have gone wrong in terms of our home, our car, just like disasters and financial disasters, and it's not been a healthy month for me, like in terms of my mental health. It's been stressing me out, which has caused me concern, you know, with how is my stress affecting my baby. Everything is fine. I know a lot of you guys always ask me, like in the comments of these videos or on Twitter, how is my pregnancy going? Everything is fine. He is doing well. He is healthy. He is fine. I am just trying to take it easy because things have been pretty much a trash fire in my life this month. Anyway, that's what's going on. That's why I wasn't making a lot of videos. That's why I don't have a ton of books to talk about today, but I hope you guys still enjoy my thoughts on these books because the 4 books I read were all rated 4 and 5 stars, so I was enjoying them. Before I get into those reviews, I am going to check in with what my TBR for September was. So this month I said that I had 2 advanced copies of books that I wanted to read, and out of these 2 I only read one of them. I also wanted to read 4 sequels. I did read 3 sequels, so I read one of the arcs, 3 of the sequels I wanted to read, so you know, 2/3 of what I was hoping to read. It's not bad. Out of the 4 books I read this month, 2 of them were audiobooks, 2 of them I read in the print format. I will have an audiobook review video coming up soon where I talk about the narration and stuff. And just as a reminder, I do have timestamps in the description in case one of the books you saw in the introduction of this video is like one that you really want to know my opinion on. You can skip straight to that using the timestamps. First up, I am going to be talking about The Ends of the World by Maggie Hall. This is the 3rd and final book in the Conspiracy of Us trilogy. I have really enjoyed this trilogy. It is about a girl who's like just living her normal life. She's a high school student, and then one day she kind of gets pulled into this ancient conspiracy theory, and she finds that her family bloodline is actually part of this, what on earth is the word I'm thinking of? A group of people that does shady stuff. Pregnancy brain is no joke, you guys. She finds out that her family has ties to this like secret society, that is the term I was thinking of. Okay, moving on. She gets pulled into this world of ancient conspiracies and stuff, and these groups that like are against each other, and their goal is to track down the tomb of Alexander the Great. It is a fun series if you like globe-trotting, clue-following adventures. Things you thought were true from the rest of the series turn out to not be what you really thought they were. That happened a couple of times in this. They actually go like tomb excavating, which was really cool to me. And we got a lot of conclusion, just like kind of starting around halfway in this book, things from even the first book started to get wrapped up. So I felt very satisfied with it. I did enjoy the series overall, and I did enjoy this installment in the series as well. Next up, I read Like a River Glorious by Rae Carson, which is the 2nd book in the Gold Seer trilogy. This is a historical, slight fantasy series about a main character who has this paranormal witchy ability to sense where gold is in the earth. So this takes place during the time of the California gold rush, and our main character was from, I think, Georgia. Her family is all killed, and in order to escape the person that killed her family, she dresses up like a boy with her male best friend, and they join a like what the heck is a tragon? A wagon train that is going out west to California because of the rumors of all the gold and riches that people can make for themselves. I'm still laughing about tragon. So the first book was all about surviving that journey out west and just like surviving the elements. And this book still has that survival tone to it, but this time it's more about surviving other groups of people who want to take what you own, who want to have the best land. And the survival aspect is what I really love about this series. I also like the writing. I'm not super attached to the characters. One thing that I personally really did not like about this book was the romance. The love interest keeps saying things like, I know you're gonna fall in love with me. I will make you fall in love with me. Just you wait and see. And so that, to me, just like was so cocky. And because this is a historical setting, a lot of really horrible things like racism and slavery are depicted in it. And I think that mostly the book and the main character try to fight the racism and discrimination that is happening in it, but unfortunately I do think that this book kind of falls into the white savior trope. I know that the first book in this series did have some problematic portrayal of the Native American characters. I don't think that I am the right person to really pick that apart, so you know, take my review and the fact that I gave this book 4 stars with a huge grain of salt. Next, I read and really enjoyed Warcross by Marie Lu. I was sent an early copy of this one. This is a new YA duology. It's about this futuristic technology that is basically like a virtual reality game, and we're following a main character who is really just trying to scrape by in her normal life. And in order to make some money, she learns about this certain hack that she thinks she can do, and in trying to pull it off, she hacks her way into the biggest event that ever happens annually in the Warcross system. No one has ever pulled off this hack before, and it's such a thing that the game's creator himself actually like starts paying attention to her, like, who are you, how did you do that, can you come work for me, because I actually need you to track down another hacker that's trying to mess up all of Warcross, and you've got skills that I want to use. I loved this book so much. Now, it starts out with a big bang, like the first chapter or two are just like action-packed, fast-paced, and then when you start getting into it from there, maybe the next like 50 pages were difficult for me to get into because you're thrown in to all of the details of what Warcross is. After that, I really caught on and I was so into it. So it does maybe take a little bit to get into and to understand what all of this is. But guys, this is the book I have always wanted from Marie Lu. I have read all of Marie Lu's books. I think I rated all of them 4 stars and up. This book blows all of them out of the water, in my opinion. Like, this was what I wanted from her as a writer. I just thought she did it so well. It was fast-paced, it was intriguing to me. It is a really diverse read. There are characters from all over the world. I'm pretty sure the main character is Chinese American. Ilan Vindress and some of the other main characters are Japanese. There is a disabled side character. There's a very, very small mention of a male-male romance between some very minor side characters. I really, really enjoyed this story, and the ending of it like delivered the sci-fi element that I have always wanted, and I cannot wait for the sequel to this book. And the last book that I am reviewing today is Tower of Dawn by Sarah J Maas. This is the 6th, I think it's the 6th book in her Throne of Glass series. This is a new adult fantasy book, and this is the book that follows Chaol. Chaol and Nesryn, which are characters from earlier in the main series, left in a previous book to go to a different part of the world and do some other kind of a quest. This is going to help the overall story arc of the main Throne of Glass series, and this is the book that is following their adventure. There's a whole lot of POC representation. There's also a great deal of disability representation. I did have 3 expectations out of this book in terms of the disability and person of color representation, and the book met all 3 of those expectations. I have sought out reviews from Own Voices reviewers, and so far all I have been able to find are reviews on the disability representation. So I'm going to link those reviews down below if you want to hear Own Voices opinions on the matter. I have not been able to find any Own Voices reviews so far on the racial diversity in this book, and I think maybe that's because a lot of the people that I follow just are not reading this series anymore, because Sarah J Maas has had issues in the past with how she has treated POC characters. As far as my personal enjoyment of this book, I am very shocked to tell you guys I loved it. I have never liked Chaol as a character from book 1. I did not want a novella or a full-length book about him. I wasn't sure that I was going to read this book at all. And then I did, because my friends were reading it and I really wanted to read it and talk about it with them. And I ended up liking this book more than the main series. These are all pretty much human characters, and it was so refreshing to read about human characters being totally kick butt, and it's not just fae and this overbearing magic all the time. I love fae fantasy and magical fantasy and stuff, but it was so refreshing to just see the human side of things. I also really loved the main ship in this book so much more than all the fae ships in all of her other series, which I like those fae ships too. I'm not as into it as a lot of people are, but I don't hate them as most people do either. But like, this one was so like non-aggressive, and I felt like I could ship this and not feel bad about it at all. The world building was so much better in my opinion in terms of like what I like in world building, and I also really loved trying to figure out these clues and exploring these ancient ruins and escaping the booby-trapped ruins. I was into it. I really liked it. As far as the order of the series, you do need to read this book. Some huge information is dropped in this book. I'm sure she will recap it at least a little bit in the next and final book in the main series, but woo! This has a great deal of information that is very, very important to the whole series. I also think that you need to have read The Assassin's Blade before you read this one, or else, again, it recaps, but I just think that it was a much more enjoyable experience for me having known about stuff that happened in the prequels before reading this, because it just gave me a lot of little fangirl moments. And then the last thing that I want to really say is that this is a new adult series. There is a sex scene. I know a lot of people really hate the sex scenes in Empire of Storms. There is one sex scene in this book. It is described. It is not nearly as graphic as Empire of Storms or her ACOTAR series. And then there is another one scene that is a sex scene that fades to black. Like, nothing is described, you just know what's gonna happen. So it was very toned down, in my opinion, from a lot of her more recent books. I don't know, guys. I went from not wanting this book at all to thinking this is probably my favorite in the series. Anyway, those are the 4 books that I read this month. I would love to know what you guys read in September and what your favorite read of the month was. Thank you guys so much for watching this, for sticking around even though I've not put out a lot of videos this month. Hopefully I'll have a couple coming soon. Hopefully October will be a better month in general. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you in the comments. Bye!